for the highest court in the land. It's now time for Robert J. Slama to answer your legal questions on the Lawyer's Edge. Here's Robert J. Slama.
Good afternoon, Jacksonville, and welcome to A Lawyer's Edge. I'm in the studio with David Trotti, and of course, we are ready to talk to you about all the legal issues and the things that matter most to you and to your family. So stay tuned. Call in with questions at 222-TALK. That's 222-TALK. Today we're going to be talking about a number of issues. We're going to talk a little bit about separation agreements and something that's near and dear to David's heart, which is mediations. And then we'll talk a little bit about in custody, social investigations versus custody evals, and what that means to you and your family. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. And by the way, we are here with Roger. We always forget you, but you're a hard man to forget.
It's okay. I was going to wait and see how I was going to mention it. But it's all right.
It's okay, right?
And of course, the most important person on the show is the listener tuned in right now. And they can call in at 904-222-TALK, 904-222-8255, and pick you guys' brains all hour long with legal questions. I had my legal question before the show started.
You did. And by the way, that one's going to take a little bit longer for us to fully examine, given the fact that it's a relative of yours.
Okay.
But anyway, David, were you at the game on Sunday at all?
I was there in spirit. I watched it on TV.
That was, if for those of you who didn't attend, if you have not been to a Jaguars game in a while, and this one with Seattle, it has turned into WWE. It has a little bit for everyone. Whatever you're looking for, you can certainly find it these days at the game. I enjoyed it. It was cold. It was wonderful. It was football weather, and of course we won. So it was but near and dear to my heart, guess who jumped in at halftime? It wasn't the Marines, and it certainly wasn't the Navy. Guess who jumped in?
The Coast Guard?
No, it wasn't the Coast Guard. Who's left?
U.S. Army Special Forces.
SOCOM. That was going to be my next assignment. Had I stayed in, was going to Fort Bragg to SOCOM and going through RIP and all the...
But you didn't.
But I didn't. That's when I got out and went to law school.
Smart man.
But the watching them from Bragg and what these guys do and how easy they make it look, just fabulous.
But speaking about our military servicemen and women here in Jacksonville, I do want to give a shout out to them. Christmas is upon us, the holidays are upon us. It's very cold out this past week. Make sure we reach out to our veterans, especially the veterans in need. If they have any need for food, shelter, anything, help with electricity, please reach out to them. Our city does a great job with the veteran service officers. Bill Spann over there, just want to give out a shout out to his department. Wonderful job over there. We also have the Veterans Council of Duval County. We're starting our new year off on January 16th, and we do some good things this next year with the Veterans Council.
Harrison Connors, I went to school with him. And by the way, you can live stream this thing. I'm going to give a shout out. I have people, friends of mine, from throughout the country and even throughout the world. A good friend of mine from France, Esther. She's listening. Esther Lou, she listens. You can listen anywhere on your phone. You can listen on your computer. But certainly call in 222-TALK, 222-TALK, and we're ready for your questions. David, let's kick this one off because oftentimes when we get into separation agreements, I always have this, I say it's one of the most important parts for a number of reasons to any case. Normally at the very beginning, maybe this is your experience as well, folks aren't exactly sure what they want to do. Here's what they know. I need space, I need to get away. Is that fair?
It's very fair.
But they're not sure. Now, there are some, they've thought about this for 3, 4, 5 years. They want a divorce, they want finality, and they want to get there as fast as they can. But most often, folks are going, I don't know what this thing is about. I don't know what it's going to do to the kids. I don't know what it's going to do to me, my income, so on and so forth. Here's what I normally recommend and I suggest to folks. Other states have a cooling off period. Florida doesn't. I think it would be good if actually we did have one absent domestic abuse, violence, all that stuff. So what I normally suggest is, and it also helps solve the problem of temporary needs, you put together a separation agreement. Because here's what you do otherwise, and this is where most of the problems arise. If you are not part of a program at separation and you're hoping that things work out, they generally don't because there's no way to manage it. With a properly done separation agreement, here's what I'm putting in there. Counseling, if there's drug or alcohol issues, treatment, how you're going to handle those matters, finances, temp needs, who's paying what, how long this is going to go on. I usually recommend 90 days because it takes about that long going through counseling. At the end of 90 days, they then can file, and hopefully during that time, as people ask, well, what if it doesn't work out? Hopefully you've helped resolve a number of issues to make it easier to resolve the issues in the divorce.
That's very problematic, though.
Why is that?
I think you still have the same issue that you have in today's courts is somebody files, then how long does it take for the parties to get together to get into an arrangement? Now, a lot of times it's fairly quick. We get two reasonable attorneys, some semi-reasonable clients together. We can get a quick temporary agreement in place, and sometimes counseling to maybe reconcile or work on the issues of the marriage might come to fruition. But that's typically not the case. What typically the case is, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, is we have the race to the courthouse to get the trifecta. You're asking what's the trifecta? The trifecta is the criminal domestic violence injunction, the civil injunction, and then the temporary needs, the exclusive use of the home, the children, and all the funds. And so one party, whether it's the male or female, or the parent raising the child or not, are trying to fight their way to get into a position to even have equal footing to say, I want to be an equal parent.
Or control. I mean, you say equal footing, and where I disagree with that is the race is for who gets control from the get-go. But here's my thing. In 90 days, what is accomplished in court that can't be accomplished outside with, and I add this twist to it, what I put in my separation agreements is at the end of the 90 days, before they file, the parties strongly consider going to mediation. Most of the time, if they're civil, the 90 days they kind of have a cooling off period. Then they get with a good mediator, like David Trotti. They should be able to resolve their issues, right?
I do agree. I think pre-suit mediation or pre-suit negotiations is key. Once you get into that court and you start positioning in front of the judges, all gloves are off. And it is who's going to control the courtroom with the docket, with the piece of paper. And first one that speaks, the other party's fighting an uphill battle.
What's the harm to talking? Now, you sit in mediations all day, most days, encouraging people to talk. What is the harm early on before people incur a lot of attorney's fees and costs with going to mediation and talking?
It depends. It depends. The typical attorney answer, it depends. Because you're talking about, does your case involve lots of liquid assets? Is there property involved? How many children with special needs? Is one party a traveling salesman out of state? The regular hours, working hours? A lot of stuff can happen in the different negotiations. But after the break, we can take a scenario on a simple divorce situation.
Okay. Because more often than not, these issues can be resolved. They can be resolved in an expeditious manner. And I think sometimes people think mediation means you're giving up or you're giving in. But it doesn't mean that. Call us at 222-TALK, 222-TALK, at a lawyer's edge. We're here for you. And any of the questions you have on any legal issue, including what we're talking about, please call in. You're listening to A Lawyer's Edge.